Hey guys, Ryvoonz here. The war of the United Nations on Japanese anime and video games continues. But now finally Japan said that enough is enough. So on October 29th, Yamado Taro, a politician from Japan's ruling LDP party, also known as the otaku politician, made a tweet detailing how the United Nations was coming after Japan's anime and gaming industries. Basically, the so-called Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, or CEDAW in short, claimed that the anime and gaming industries were discriminating against women. And he responded that those claims were baseless, unfair, and were misrepresenting Japan and the mentioned industries, even going on to request a retraction. And you know what's weird about all of this? For the last number of years, Japan has also been receiving increasing pressure from Western payment processors like MasterCard and PayPal. Many such cases where Japanese companies would be restricted from using them so that it would hurt them financially and thus pressure them into bending the knee to the demands of the West. Basically restricting Japan's creative freedom, forcing guidelines onto them, censoring their media, changing up the content in big ways, yada yada yada. Interestingly enough, those Western payment processors began doing that around the same time as the UN began making claims about the sexist state of the Japanese anime and gaming industries, and the danger to women that they would allegedly represent. I don't know about you, but I think it seems highly unlikely that those two things occurring are coincidental. So just now the news are making the rounds that after many months of fighting against this harassment of Japan, we did it. Japan is officially telling the UN to F off and leave our hobbies alone. They finally found good ground on which they would be able to fight back. This tweet by Arin Yumi sums it all up. Japan will halt funding to the United Nations Panel on Women's Rights, the Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW, following the panel's repeated demands for Japan to undergo reforms that will allow a female monarch on its throne. According to Japanese laws and tradition, only males can ascend to the chrysanthemum throne, which the UN panel claims is a form of discrimination against women. Japan has responded by filing a formal protest to the UN, cancelling a planned visit to Japan by CEDAW members scheduled for sometime this year, and now the funding withdrawal. Those are very good news for not just fans of Japanese anime and video games, but for the creators behind it as well. Japan distancing themselves from the UN like that does show that they refuse to bend the knee to their demands when it comes to protecting and preserving their nation's culture and traditions. Nowadays, the nation's anime and gaming industries have become a huge part of not just its economy, but also of its culture. Those are two of the biggest things they're known for overseas. Which is also the reason the UN targeted them. They are aware of their popularity and influence worldwide. And yet, unlike the Western media landscape, which has adapted the things the UN is pushing for, the Japanese one is out of their reach and is still doing its own thing, unwilling to implement any DEI and ESG policies. Furthermore, while Japan is a member of the UN, this attempt at policing them seems extremely bizarre, because there are easily at least a dozen other countries in the UN that treat women, as well as minorities, infinitely worse than how they're treated in Japan. So I have to say, it's quite sus how, despite this, they're focusing so much on Japan, instead of first establishing social justice in those countries where it's much worse. And it's even more sus that in their eyes, the problem causing sexism in Japan somehow lies in the anime and gaming industries, and their alleged problematic presentation of women. Which is ironic considering the rising popularity of anime and the dominance of Japanese video games worldwide, including among women. I would even go as far as to claim that Japanese media has a better, fairer, and more appealing presentation of women than the West does. There's no debate about insufferable girl bosses or Mary Sues over there. That's only a problem of Western entertainment, especially in recent years. Meanwhile, Japanese female characters are all around popular, and there's no debate around them. Also, we wouldn't have so many girls cosplaying them if they were truly as harmful to women as the UN tries to present them. I don't know whether the UN actually believes in what they're claiming, but I think their engagement to fight sexism in Japanese anime and games is a Trojan horse. Them wanting to stand up for women sounds good on the surface, but I think in reality it's an attempt to get Japan under their control. And I don't know whether Japan sees it like that as well, but their resistance is a positive sign. And that's it for the summary of those news. Thanks a lot for tuning in. If you enjoyed my coverage, please consider liking and subscribing, and share your thoughts in the comment section. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.